Authorities continued searching Friday for two members of the Kennedy family who disappeared in the Chesapeake Bay after they had set out in a canoe to retrieve a ball in the water.
Maeve Kennedy Townsend McKean, 40, and her 8-year-old son Gideon Joseph Kennedy McKean went missing near Annapolis, MD, on Thursday evening while the family had gathered at a waterfront house owned. McKean's mother, family and authorities said.
At about 4 p.m., children were kicking a ball back and forth in a yard, and the ball went into the water, said McKean's husband, David McKean.
He said his wife and son popped into a canoe to chase it down.
They just got farther out than they could handle and couldn't get back in, he said in a brief interview with the Post.
He said the family had been at the Shadyside home of Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, a former lieutenant governor of Maryland.
At a news conference Friday afternoon, Gov. Larry Hogan, R., said he had reached out to Kennedy Townsend and expressed our most heartfelt sympathy and prayers to her and her entire family at this difficult time.
Maeve McKean is executive director of the Georgetown University Global Health Initiative. She is a granddaughter of the late Senator Robert F. Kennedy and grandniece of former President John F. Kennedy.
Captain Eric Kornmeyer, a spokesman for the Anne Arundel County Fire Department, said in a statement that a concerned person called authorities around 4:30 p.m. Thursday to say he saw the canoe from the Columbia Beach Pier.
According to the Coast Guard, the caller said the boaters were seen struggling to return to shore in a canoe near Herring Bay and then not seen again.
A spokesman for the U.S. Coast Guard said the wind in that part of the bay was at 26 knots, about 30 miles per hour, Thursday afternoon, with waves 2 to 3 feet high.
Crews on boat and helicopters engaged in the search until dark Thursday and resumed Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, the Coast Guard said 2,275 square miles had been covered.
Maryland Natural Resources Police said Friday that an overturned canoe matching the description of the one that went missing was recovered.
At this time, our family asks for privacy and that everyone keep Maeve and Gideon in their prayers, family spokesman Alan Fleischman said in a statement. Maeve is Fleischman's goddaughter.
McKean is president of the Parent-Teacher Association at the Capitol Hill Cluster School. Principals Elena Bell and Christopher Comforo sent a letter to families saying they are deeply saddened by this news.
A virtual school auction planned for Friday night was postponed.
There will be virtual opportunities for the school community to receive support by clinical social workers, counselors, and school psychologists early next week, the letter from the principals said.
McKean graduated from Boston College and Georgetown University with a joint degree in law and international conflict resolution. She served in the Peace Corps in Mozambique, coming home to help with her mother's 2002 campaign for governor.
She went on to work for Democratic U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein in California, where she met her future husband. Gideon is their first child. The pair of human rights lawyers named him after a Supreme Court case ordering states to pay for defense attorneys for the poor.
During the Obama administration, McKean worked in the State Department's Global AIDS program and on human rights in the Department of Health and Human Services.
Last year, she and her mother spoke out openly against her uncle Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s anti-vaccine advocacy.
We stand behind him in his ongoing fight to protect our environment, they wrote in a Politico column. However, on vaccines he is wrong.
Last month, she was one of hundreds of public health and experts who signed onto a letter urging Vice President Pence to follow scientific recommendations and provide adequate funding in responding to COVID-19.
The Kennedy family has been beset by tragedy, from the assassinations of McKean's grandfather and great-uncle in the 1960s to the death of her cousin Saoirse Kennedy Hill last year. While they are also widely seen as blessed by fortune, McKean told Glamour in 2008 that was a misconception.
People think, because I'm a Kennedy, I'm extremely wealthy and don't flaunt it. Ha, she said. I have a great name, but by the time you get to the fourth generation, the money's run out. We're fortunate compared to the average American, but to think I'm a trust fund kid, so not true.
She said it was still a challenge to figure out how to pay her law school bills while committing to a career in public service.
In an interview last year with a Spanish television station, she talked about why she chose to focus part of her career on women's health. While women are half the world, she said, investment in medical research often favors men.
I think there's an incredible opportunity for really making a difference, she said. When you improve the health of women and their children, you improve the health of their communities.
The Maryland Natural Resources Police have been leading the search, with help from the Coast Guard, Queen Anne Police Department, Anne Arundel Police Department, and Maryland State Police.
Magda Jean-Louis, Clarence Williams, Ovetta Wiggins, Spencer S. Shue, Aaron Cox and Annie Linsky and Eddie Palazzo contributed to this report.
Tragedy has come often for the Kennedy family.
The day John F. Kennedy was killed, how America mourned a fallen president.
Local newsletters, local headlines, 8 a.m., afternoon buzz, 4 p.m.
Like Post Local on Facebook, follow at Post Local on Twitter, latest local news.